And it looks like the smoky skies continue today, although they say it's supposed to be getting better. Looks the same overall anyways from down here. And with that in mind, what did I read today? Speaking of smoky skies, usually around here with wildfires, that means there's emergency services somewhere, for example, fighting the blazes and all that. And how about this one, where apparently there's a claim, again, that there's a drone that hit some kind of firefighting plane. This one says, BC Wildfire Service says civilian drone hit firefighting plane. The BC Wildfire Service says police are investigating after one of its firefighting aircraft was struck by a civilian drone that was being illegally flown in restricted airspace. It says the incident on Tuesday evening involved a bird dog plane that directs air tankers and other aircraft and occurred during operations against a blaze in the Caribou Fire Center. Fire Information Officer Amanda Graves says the strike caused minor damage to one of the wings of the bird dog, which was repaired and back in service in the next morning. She says no one was hurt and the RCMP are investigating. Okay, that's kind of interesting. I'm surprised they didn't show any pictures, for example, of, let's just say, the damage and all that, and they repaired it pretty quickly by the sounds of it here anyways. The service says on social media that such interference with its aerial operations poses significant risk, and anyone found flying drones in restricted areas faces penalties of up to $100,000 and up to 1 year in jail. It says unauthorized drones, including the smallest models weighing less than 250 grams, are banned within 5 nautical miles or 9.3 kilometers and 3,000 feet above active wildfires. I'd be still inclined to ask, I know obviously the narrative of this story here is the usual, don't fly your drones around this area and so forth, and they have to stop everything. Why do they still not have some kind of, let's just say, countermeasure or procedure to deal with them? In general, to me anyways, especially in these situations, I still find that reasoning where if people say, for example, they see one small drone they shut the whole operation down, that doesn't make any sense. It makes me wonder again, why don't you just have things in place to deal with it like with everything else? It's kind of like the example I gave before. It'd be ridiculous if there was an active fire at a house, there's police tape and stuff around the area, and one person gets through there for whatever reason. You take care of that person, correct? You wouldn't say, okay guys, let's go home, like all the fire department and stuff, let the building burn down because we can't continue our operation because this guy crossed the yellow line or whatever. I mean, in general, you shouldn't be flying within the operations and all that, but at the same time, it's becoming a scenario where it feels like it's an excuse or something to blame overall when you keep acting this way versus, again, finding ways to deal with it. And that's just as bad, like I said, in my opinion, if you're going to stop everything just like that because of, let's just say, some 2-gram drone. And when I thought of drones, as you know, in the US, they may be banning things like Chinese-made drones, and by the sounds of it, it seems like it's going to go ahead with even more stuff too, because this one here says US plans restrictions on imports of Chinese drones and heavy-duty vehicles. The Trump administration plans to issue rules to restrict or potentially bar imports of Chinese drones and medium and heavy-duty vehicles after an earlier crackdown on cars and trucks, citing national security concerns. The U.S. Commerce Department on Friday said it plans to issue rules as soon as this month to address national security risks involving information and communication technology that is integral to drones and their supply chain, as well as vehicles weighing more than 10,000 pounds from countries like China and other foreign adversaries. It did not give details on what the import rules would be. The Commerce Department and Chinese Embassy in Washington did not immediately comment. And as they emphasize here, it says more than half of the commercial drone sales in the US are from Chinese-made drones. For example, ones made from DJI. So you can imagine if they get banned, everyone's going to be scrambling, I suppose, to find alternatives in that way. And they emphasize here too, there were also talks of not just banning, let's just say, drone hardware. They could be targeting everything that's related to it, such as computers, communications, and flight control systems, ground control stations, and as well, they say things like operating software and data storage. So would that literally shut companies like a DJI completely out of the US? I'm talking about things, for example, like their apps that people use, like the DJI Fly app, or at the same time, they have things like their Sky Pixel where a bunch of people store their videos and so forth. Will all that actually be banned? Wow, that's really serious anyways if they actually go through with it. What would you think in that case? And with all that topic here in Canada about things like self-defense and how a lot of the police officials here say you should not try to take matters into your own hands. This was kind of interesting where this was in the US, but apparently there was this situation where somebody got assaulted. From what I gathered, he was taking videos and stuff of it, and he went up to the police officers that were nearby, but they refused to help him. Like it says here, Bronx NYPD cops ignore assault victims spark public outrage. A viral video showing two NYPD officers dismissing a man's plea for help after an assault has sparked an outrage across New York City, with residents calling for the officers' immediate termination. The incident, captured on a busy street reportedly in the Bronx, shows a man approaching a patrol car to report a recent assault, only to be told by the officers that it's, quote, not our area, and to call 911.
Because I came to report an incident because a came up to me as I was recording.
This is not our area.
What do you mean?
This is not our area.
It's not an area for what? What do you mean? It's not an area for what?
You have to call 911 to report that incident. We're just by.
What? I was walking down the block and she got assaulted right here, so I came up to the car to ask her.
What would you do in that situation if you were like the officer? Shouldn't your job be to like contact or radio help? You can report it yourself immediately when someone's running up to you like that. You would just say, it's not my, for example, area, or for example, oh, I'm off shift right now. That sounds like something you would expect in a retail store or something like that. All right, see you guys later.